issues that has to deal with, very important, that has to deal with the city. So, and we had to discuss those matters.
In executive session.
In executive session. So we could not come out at that time. Today is our honorary session, which is great. And I see that everybody's ready and prepared. We're going to start with our honorary session first, and then after that, we're going to go into our normal session. We have a speakers list of people who will speak as well, but please notice that we have two exits, one at the front, one at the back in case of emergency. Later on, we'll discuss that right after the honorees program. So, Public Works and Councilwoman Duarte. Yes, you can present your honoree, please.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. I think this is a very special time when we have an opportunity to highlight some exceptional people in our community. Clearly, the contributions that they make really enrich our quality of life, they enrich the fabric of the community, they just enrich us all around. So thank you for coming out and supporting those that we are acknowledging tonight. So this evening, I'm just going to read the resolution. So this resolution, it says, whereas Carlos Alexandre was born in Arroyo Portugal. He graduated in management from Escola Comercial Patricio Village and started his career in Ensinamiento SARL. And whereas Carlos Alexandre dreamed of immigrating to the United States, he first moved to Reading, Pennsylvania, where he met his wife, Maria Jose, a seamstress for men's clothing. In 1970, the young family moved to Mount Vernon, New York, with their only child, Charles. Mr. Alexandre was employed by GM, Borges Stationer Store, and Tower Sales Corporation. And whereas the same year he moved to Mount Vernon, Carlos Alexandre decided to become active in his new community and joined the Portuguese American Club. In 1983, he joined the board of directors and became a director of the Escola Infantil Enrique, which is their Portuguese school. And whereas Carlos Alexandre is one of the founders of Concerned Portuguese for Progress, a group responsible for building ongoing open communications between the Portuguese community, local municipalities, and New York State officials. And whereas in 1984, Mayor Thomas Sharp appointed Carlos Alexandre commissioner for the Commission on Human Rights, where he would serve for two 4-year terms. The following year, he petitioned and succeeded to have Portugal Day acknowledged and to have the Portuguese flag raised at Mount Vernon City Hall. And whereas in 1987, Carlos Alexandre was elected as president of the Portuguese American Club, his advocacy provided the basis for the Portuguese government to bestow the Portuguese American Club with the insignias da Ordem do Dom Infantil Enrique, or in English it's the insignias of the Order of Prince Henry the Navigator. an honor that was conferred upon the club on its 50th anniversary. And whereas Carlos Lachandre is recognized as a tireless activist on behalf of his beloved club and his community, and one of his most gratifying moments was when he succeeded in having the street name changed to Portugal Place in honor of the location of the Portuguese American Club. And whereas Carlos Lachandre is a historian of the Portuguese American Club and considers it to be the fulfillment and culmination of his life's dreams of coming to America. And whereas Carlos Lachandre was not only active in the Portuguese community, but also participated in many local elections and campaigns, helping mayors, councilmen, judges, congressmen, and senators. And now therefore be it resolved that the City Council, on behalf of the citizens of Mount Vernon, honors Carlos Lachandre for his support to the Portuguese American community, his dedication to the Portuguese American Club, and for his service to the city of Mount Vernon. Unfortunately, Mr. Lachandre could not be here tonight, so I would like to present this to Mr. Tony Ferreira, who is here on his behalf to accept this resolution.
Our next honoree will be presented by Councilwoman Farquharson.
Thank you and good evening. So I'd like to ask Dr. Sonia Cole to please stand. And it really is my distinct pleasure to honor Dr. Cole. Come on in, Dr. Cole. So Sonia Cole is a community psychiatrist, diplomat of the American Board of Psychiatry and Neurology, staff psychiatrist for Mount Vernon Service Center Clinic of Psychiatric Center, and consulting psychiatrist to Family Services of Westchester Mental Health Clinics. All reputable commendations and position from one who comes from humble beginnings. And whereas Dr. Sonia Cole worked her way into Stuyvesant High School and commuted to school for up to 2 hours daily, she persevered to graduate from one of the most prestigious high schools in New York City. And whereas Dr. Sonia Cole was accepted to every Ivy League college she applied to except Harvard University, she matriculated into Wesleyan University, where she was actively engaged in improving the college community for students of color. She also faced challenges and struggled in her collegiate career, but like high school, she persevered to earn a bachelor's degree in biology. And whereas Dr. Sonia Cole always wanted to pursue a career in medicine to help people,
Please put your phone down. Oh, please.
but she began work as a public school substitute teacher. Her perseverance, coupled with her zeal, permitted her to be accepted to several medical schools, including prestigious institutions such as Dartmouth University and the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. Dr. Cole would continue her service in the state of New York and attended the State University of New York at Buffalo Medical School. And whereas, once more, did Dr. Sonia Cole experience significant challenges. Her father died tragically, and she gave birth to her son in a less than ideal time. But she persevered because of her life experiences and chose to focus on studying psychiatry in medical school daughter's small apartment in a place she did not know, Mount Vernon. She and her son slept on a floor mattress. She immersed herself in the community and embedded in her son the importance of doing the same. And whereas Dr. Cole supported her son in every endeavor he sought, from tennis to baseball to basketball to music, she was always there meeting people and building relationships along the way. And whereas Dr. Sonia Cole is co-founder of Emotional Wellness Week of Mount Vernon, co-founder of the Stuyvesant High School Black Alumni Diversity Initiative, former Cub Scout leader of the Mount Vernon Cub Scouts, formerly active with the Mount Vernon Parent Involvement Initiative, former member of the Jamaica Progressive League Prisoner Outreach Project in Washington, D.C., and an active supporter of the social justice movement to legalize marijuana, and now therefore be it resolved that the City Council, on behalf of the citizens of Mount Vernon, honors Dr. Sonia Cole, MD, for her perseverance, a lifelong career of advocating for those who are often overlooked, and for her outstanding achievements. So it's my distinct pleasure to present Dr. Sonia Cole with this award.
I want to thank City Council, Councilman Pessin for this very kind recognition. I imagine that this is the first time a psychiatrist has received this here in Mount Vernon, and I hope that many more psychiatrists will receive this honor in the future, because that would mean that we have been doing good work, and the community is recognizing that more than the importance of the physicians doing this work, that those people who are our patients are a valued part of the community. I do remember in my essay, either for college or medical school, I said I wanted to be a physician, but because I saw suffering, I wanted to help. Some of the suffering I recall seeing as a child, though it was not suffering that a single doctor could cure. It was suffering like violence, poverty, homelessness, chronic lifestyle-associated illnesses, lack of education, bigotry, and hatred. Though I didn't realize then that these problems could not be fixed in an examination room, even then as an aspiring doctor, I stated on my essay that it would take more than a Band-Aid to remedy the problems that I had seen as a child. As a community psychiatrist, I am still reaching out for that more than a Band-Aid to help people out with the suffering they experience day to day. I thank my parents who 50 years ago, next month, brought my siblings and I to USA from Jamaica, West Indies, in search of the best chance of having a good education. My father, who had once worked 3 jobs at one time, and my mother, who toiled as a housekeeper. I thank my siblings for being a support to me through tough times. I thank my son for being my shining light. I thank my friends, like Councilman Pessin, for staying close and inspiring me. And I do thank my patients for letting me into their lives and their hearts every day. Thank you.
Our next honoree will be presented by Councilman Griffin. Along with Councilwoman Coleman.
Right. So we're gonna alternate whereas, or do you wanna do 2 at a time? I wanna see how.
2 at a time, and then,
Okay. You can do the result. So great minds think alike, and I didn't know that he was, I was like, oh, that's what I'm doing, so we decided to chair versus, the chair, because it's a great work.
And I want to also thank former Councilwoman Roberta Puzo for bringing this great idea to the city. The council did not have a honoring ceremony until Roberta suggested that we start doing this, and we've continued ever since. I think this is our, how many years, Roberta? This may be our 10th year.
It's probably 10.
It's about 10 years or so, so thank you, Roberta, for having us do this. And Councilwoman Copeland is correct. This is the first time that there's a co-council sponsoring of an honoree, because good minds think alike. We had the same sort of variation on the library being honored, and it just worked out better that we just co-sponsor. Personally, I have a personal from this body, I have a personal affinity to the library because back in 2010, through Corporation Council, we started discussing how the city of Mount Vernon really should not have been donating money to the library. And that's exactly what we were doing. We were giving money to an entity that we did not own. And in a way, it was kind of an illegal use of city funds. So we started to unwind that. And the fear became that if we unwound that at the wrong time, the public would not vote to keep the library open. So we kind of held on to it for a while, and then finally we transitioned off, and the library had their own vote. And we're very pleased that the community came out and supported the library. Subsequent to that, we've had library elections, and I must say the board has done an excellent job of transforming the library into the facility that we all needed to be. I continued to use the library. I was looking for a movie, and I was looking at Netflix and all these other avenues to get this movie, and something, ding, why don't you check the library? Sure enough, right in the Mount Vernon Library in my own town was the movie that I needed to look at. So we have a great resource. The board is doing a great job. All the new initiatives that I see coming out are exactly what I expect, so thank you. The staff also, one of the reasons why I didn't want to honor just the board or a person or a director is that there's so many people involved in making the library work. Not only the board, but the director and the staff and the librarians and the maintenance of the facility. It's a business all on its own. So collectively, we're honoring the library. With that, we're going to begin with the first two whereases, and Councilwoman Copeland, if you would continue to be followed too. So whereas the Mount Vernon Public Library is the largest library in Westchester County, the sixth largest in New York State, and the second largest in the region, second only to the New York Public Library on Fifth Avenue. And whereas the Mount Vernon Public Library is a library of many firsts, it opened in 1854 as a first school district library. School district libraries were community libraries serving everyone and were housed in schools as a matter of convenience. It opened with a collection of 200 books.
And whereas on March 19, 1896, the Mount Vernon Public Library was chartered by the University of the State of New York, and on May 9th, it officially opened in 3 rented rooms at 9 East 3rd Street with a collection of 5,000 volumes from the school district library. The library moved to its new headquarters in a new high school building on 4th Avenue. And whereas in 1901, Andrew Carnegie, a leading philanthropist, offered $35,000 for the library building. He increased the gift to $50,000. The library site, which was contributed by the city of Mount Vernon, was known as the Holmes Van Arsdale Properties and purchased for $16,000. In 1904, there was a formal opening of the library, which was built in the neoclassical style. And 1 year later, the children's department was opened in the South Rotunda. And
whereas the Mount Vernon Public Library was the recipient of another gift from Carnegie, who helped build the first edition completed on the First Avenue side of the building in 1909. The Second Avenue edition was completed in 1925. And whereas automobile service, a vehicle designed for use as a library, began in 1932 with 11 stops. In 1937, the Mount Vernon Public Library completed a major addition to the south side of the building, this time with the funding from a federal grant. In that same year, Louis Brand painted fresco on the rotunda walls. It was the largest project of its kind, and in 1938, with the gift of Leroy Mills, the Mills Law Collection was established, and
whereas the institution of the local history room with the combined collections of the Mount Vernon Landmark and Historical Association and the Mount Vernon Public Library was established in 1972. Of the 5 Carnegie libraries built in Westchester County through the generosity of Andrew Carnegie, the Mount Vernon Public Library is the only one still operating in the footprint of the original building. And whereas despite several years of challenges such as budget shortfalls and a deteriorating infrastructure, the Mount Vernon Public Library reestablished its operations by being reconstituted in 2014 as an entity separate from the city and the school district with an independent budget, and Board of Trustees, which consists of 5 members, and
whereas former and current members of the Board of Trustees have revived operations at the Mount Vernon Public Library. It was in jeopardy of losing its status as the central library in Westchester County, but because of the diligence of the Board of Trustees and community members, its status has not been altered. In addition, grants procurement has been essential in providing and supporting much-needed services. Artwork has been donated from the Arts Council, and restoration has begun for the history room. And
whereas the Mount Vernon Public Library is a full-service library that has added 7,909 new books, offers e-materials, and has developed increased access to information resources. In addition, it also offers a tutorial system for arts and crafts, hosts author visits and discussions, book signings, and a STEM team program, among several other offerings. Now, therefore, be it
resolved that the City Council, on behalf of the citizens of Mount Vernon, honors the Mount Vernon Public Library for operating as a full-service library and for continuing its legacy of providing excellence in all aspects from its material to its programming. Congratulations.
To the council, thank you. To my equipment and my dear friend Lisa Copeland, thank you for honoring us. I want to share a little story with you. One of the trustees, you know, we meet and we have a conversation. I might get smacked later. But one of the trustees came to me and said, you know, the library, we do so much work in this community and we don't get recognized. We go places, they don't recognize us, and we work so hard, and I said, don't worry about that. This is, what we're doing is big. Keep on doing what we gotta do, they soon want to recognize us. And then I had an employee, Kathy, went down to New York City, and she was working with a program outreach, and New York Public Library was there. And she came back, you know, we went down to New York City, and New York Public Library, they were so big and they gave us so much love, and we felt left out. Ladies and gentlemen, if we continue to do what we do, they will have no choice. They won't have an option, but to give us that same respect. Now, the board is push out the vision, but we can't do anything without the support staff. So thank you for the support, staff. Cheryl, she got a new program with sign language. Thank you for that. Again, thank you, council, for recognizing us, because this is really unexpected, because we're not looking for the recognition, we're looking to do the work. And make sure we provide services to our community. Thank you.
Ready? 1, 2, 3, one more. Thank you. Our next honoree is my honoree, and his name is Jordan Guy. Before I read it, I just want to say why I picked this special gentleman. Because in our community, most times we always focus on what our youth do wrong. But we never honor and focus on when our youth are doing great. And this is something in a story that I happened to run across, the person I happened to run across that is doing amazing things. And we need to know that there are people in our community, and children and youth in our community that are doing a lot of great things and extraordinary things. So that is why I'm honoring him. Jordan Guyapon is an advocate for promoting many challenges that plague society, including homelessness, inadequate housing, environmental sustainability, refugee immigrants, and trade all important issues his issues to this high school senior who is currently attending Iona Preparatory College. Jordan Guyapon began championing local and global issues since he was a sophomore in his sophomore year. It was when he became actively involved in his school's Human Rights Club that he saw firsthand the conditions of those living in homeless shelters. He wanted to share their story via the school's broadcast, so he equipped himself with a laptop, a camera, and a vision. And whereas Jordan Guyapon continued to educate other students about the advocacy project by sharing his experience in Peru when he traveled to build homes for those living in poverty. Filmmaking was the tool he continued to use to bring awareness to the condition of those living in substandard housing conditions. And whereas Jordan Guyapon is also an advocate for the environment. The first project that he had an impact on reducing waste, that the reusable bottle campaign, where he and his fellow students were purchasing a reusable water bottle. The purpose was for twofold: to raise awareness about dangers of the water pollution as companies bottle fresh water from poorer countries to be consumed by wealthier countries, reducing availability of clean water to locals. And the goal was to serve as a fundraising initiative to renovate and to build new water fountains, both equipped with filters. And whereas in the following year, Jordan Guyapon joined the school campaign to address the Syrian refugees crisis. And now, in his final year, he has launched a letter writing campaign that urged local senators to stop the zero-tolerance immigration policy that separates families at the U.S.-Mexico border. And whereas Jordan Guyapon continues to make videos to educate his classmates and to promote fundraising activities, he also brought awareness to the topic of ethical trade. In addition to being diligent in all of his projects, he is an honors student, and whereas Jordan Guyapon is the 2019 recipient of the NCEA Youth Vision Valor and Virtue Award, an honor bestowed on 10 students out of 1.8 million. I want to read that one more time. The honoree bestowed on them of 10 students out of 1.8 million Catholic students nationwide for selfless service. And he is the recipient of the St. Vincent Hospital Youth Award, a recognition award to high school students for their volunteer service. Jordan was nominated for this award and recognized by Congresswoman Anita Lowell. And whereas, in addition to his advocacy and filmmaking skills, Jordan Guyapon is a student pilot currently learning how to fly out of Westchester County Airport. His passion for flying caused him to start the Gale Aviators, an aviator club which continues to be one of the most popular clubs at school. And whereas Jordan Guyapon will continue his study at the University of North Dakota, where he will be studying commercial aviation with the hopes of becoming a pilot for JetBlue Airways. And now therefore be it resolved that the city council, on the behalf of the city's citizens of Mount Vernon, honor Jordan Guyapon for his advocacy of local and global affairs, his service and his marginalized, and for his academic success. It's amazing. So this, I want to make sure honor you with it.
Thank you very much, Councilman Wallace, council members. I want to apologize, my mother couldn't make the chance to go to work today.
She's doing a good job.
This is a complete honor for me to have, especially a son who grew up in Mount Vernon, representing the city of Mount Vernon on a national level. This is once again a testament to the power of advocacy. Words have a true meaning. Like what Councilman Wallace said, my generation of youth, we still have a say in what the world can go on. And I know,
Yes, you do.
like times like these, it seems pretty dark, but once you stay together, holding hands and we stand in solidarity, I know we can come together.
Tell your mother thank you.
And he's out in Mount Vernon. Congratulations. So we're gonna move forward with our speaking session. Everyone who is coming up to speak will have 4 minutes to speak. The buzzer will go off on the 3rd minute. And you will have 1 minute to wrap up your thoughts and finish. And after that, you'll have 1 minute left to wrap up your thoughts. All right, so we're going to call the first speaker up at this time. Charles Barrera.
Good evening. My name's Charles Ferreira, 444 Holmes Avenue. I'm here tonight to ask for the council's help. I'm a lifelong Mount Vernon resident. I've worked for the city of Mount Vernon for 20 years. Started at DPW as a laborer, worked my way up to the machine and equipment operator. In 2007, I went to the Parking Bureau, worked there for 12 years. I took the sanitation foreman exam 3 times, scoring #1 3 times. I was finally promoted to the position by a DPW commissioner. My paperwork was submitted on November 20th to the controller, who refuses to accept it. It's always an excuse. First it was the budget, and then it was, it's just excuse after excuse. I've spoken to the unions, I've spoken to private attorneys, and I'm just bringing it to the council's attention. I mean, I've worked for the city. I'm not being paid as a sanitation foreman. Right now, the city owes me about 258 hours of overtime. I've worked all winter, canceling vacations to come and work the snowstorms. I've done a lot of sacrifice. I've worked hard to get where I am today. I don't think it's fair that one person is holding the whole city hostage. I was here a few weeks ago. There were people that are on government programs for rent that actually is not paying people's rents, And, right now it's about $20,000 that the city owes me in back pay and differential pay. I have all the documentation here. I've spoken to Human Resources, to Civil Service. They all say the same thing, that she is not processing the paperwork. And when I've spoken to her on several occasions, she points the finger at the mayor, the city council, the Human Resources. It's an excuse after an excuse. I don't know what else to do. I have all the records here. I have emails here from Human Resources and Civil Service stating that, I was hired appropriately. I was #1 on the list. So I don't know what else to do. I have all the records here. I can give to the city council to prove that I worked in the position. I mean, I'm asking for your help, Thank you.
Do you have copies of the records?
Yeah, this is all for you.
Good evening, my name is Shanice Valerie Cohen. I reside at 163 West 2nd Street, Mount Vernon, New York. I come before you about the Facebook policy I thought the city had. When I'm on Facebook, it's a lot of city employees belittling city council and other elected officials, which I think is very disgraceful. I was told the other day that they found out one of the guys that was doing it under a fictitious name is a lieutenant that works for the police department. Can city council do anything about this, or is this still going to continue? Because it's starting to be very embarrassing for the city of Mount Vernon. And another thing, I seen today on Facebook about the director of veterans use, I think, Clerk Brown's information to process something. That's called identity theft. Anytime you use something that does not have your name on it and you process it, to know what's going on and what the city council's gonna do about it. Because I know the same thing was with Freda Hickson. Two different scenarios, but when you use something that does not belong to you and you process it, it's called identity theft. Please let me know what the city council is going to do about this and where we go from here. Thank you.
Stefan Ritter.
Stefan Ritter, used to be 252 Garden Avenue, Mount Vernon, New York, but you know I always represent 241 South 9th Avenue. The reason why I said it used to be is because I guess you'll pay the landlord to burn my place down with everything that I own in it. I just want you to know that I had 7 police officers I had to fight, and I didn't get arrested for none of them. And I wound up on top of, all of them beating them up, in other words. And then now you have a situation where they're seeing, I guess you're videotaping our, violating our privacy by videotaping us going into our homes or whatever. And I took the clipboard with signatures, maybe about 800, maybe 800 signatures. You know I'm running for the mayor, and to have the, the audacity to do something like this and think that I'm going to join a group or whatever the case may be, I think karma is the most important thing in the world to do back to someone after they do something to you. And now, the reason why I'm coming like this today, humble and meek as I usually am, is because not only am I not receiving benefits for serving the military, they have a Saudi Arabia war, which really happened. In case you don't know about Vietnam wars and all of these old antique wars, that doesn't even exist. And when we went to war, we went to stop wars. We didn't go to fight wars. And that's a part of the military which you don't have an idea about. But we're not getting the benefits because of the Veterans Office that's here in this building. They're trying to give us welfare. Welfare does not equivalent anything toward what the military benefits are. And you see, you have Sharice just told you about Miss Reed, and then you have all the rest of them, Frida, and all the whole administration, like your brother Andre, you know that you have to be working 3 years in office before you can try to run for another office according to your charter. So you started in 2017, so you're not even eligible to run for the rest of you, whoever is not to these things, and then you see that we have a community, and then you're going and making these honoraries for who's the community that voted that in. Not to say anything was wrong with the picture you did, but when you're reaching outside of the original people from this land and picking other people that can't be greater because they don't even have the understanding or speak the language in which we grew up on. So now when you do these things and you have us standing there who is honorary and not getting honored, or respectful and not getting the respect that's due because of our dignity and our pride that's holding us back. And then you look at a city trying to come inside of a state. And as I keep telling you, I am a 2-time New York State Federation champion, man. Do it look like I want to bow down to a city trying to move on top of me or anything like that? Like I have honors here. McDonald's All-American, 5-star. Honorable mention, the most honorable mention on offense and defense. Like we never lost games. I mean, it's a private general from the United States Marine Corps. And then you think I have to bow down to join an organization when it only takes one to get to the top to bring the rest with it? And if the powers that be can't even help, like the brother been in here 10 years, he's been out, his time been over. And then you see you're only opening up 2 doors for people. And when the whole board should be removed except for the original person from the same city that we have. And now when you come into a town and try to change it into a city without the respect and the honor and dignity from everybody that's here, that's already the original seed from here, to try to move us out and bring in a municipal powers, a city, when they already did it in 18 this mayor been indicted, you haven't done anything to him since 2016. You know, there's so much things going on where you have the power to do something and you're not doing anything, and yet you want to replace the man who gave you the appointed seat that you're sitting in. So I'm gonna leave with this as I came in peace, peace and blessings with plenty of love on top of it. But I'm honored to be honored here and to be, don't have to fight anybody to be here because I'm born and raised here and it wasn't made in the image and likeness of anybody.
Thank you. Jamie Pessin.
Good evening, City Council, Jamie Pessin, 49 Elm Avenue, Mount Vernon, New York. It has come to my attention that there is a problem with the animal shelter in Mount Vernon. I understand that the problem is vendors have not been paid, specifically referring to Manchester Veterinary Hospital. I have seen information online that states only non-emergency vet care with payment up front is performed. Is this true? And if it is true, what happens in an emergency? Does this non-payment of bills result in animals in emergencies being put to sleep unnecessarily? I do not know, but it is something hopefully that can be looked into. Why is the bill not being paid? I have heard many reasons, but no one truth has been provided. Can this City Council provide clarity on the process on how bills are paid related to vendors receiving payment? Can this council provide clarity on if there has been money in the budget for this type of activity? It is my understanding that several people who are non-political, aside from being mindful citizens, called the comptroller's office, and they reported back having an unpleasant experience that did not provide answers. Instead of finding out where we go from here to resolve the issue, they reported that only fingers were pointed. If the comptroller and the mayor disagree, what powers does the city council have and are willing to use to bring these elected leaders to the table or even subpoena their appearance and hopefully their cooperation? We need answers to simple questions. While there might be a desire to add many issues to the table to look into, can this council do anything to get answers that are on the record to address why this vendor has not been paid? And if no answer is given, what are the steps this council is prepared to take in order to stop simple inaction that hurts our community? Vendors should be paid when there is no issue with the vendor, and many people want to know why this deserving vendor is being treated in such a way. What will be done by this city council, and I'd like to say thank you in advance for your answers, and I'm also aware that some council people, the mayor, and the comptroller in some capacity immediately responded, but even though there's been immediate responses, there's been no resolution to this issue that does affect lives, even if they're not human. And I just hope that we can come together on this one issue so that this deserving vendor could be paid, and then we could worry about other vendors. We do got to do them one at a time and look into them one at a time. But I do believe that this is an easy problem that has an easy solution, and I hope that the city council can provide it. Thank you.
Thank you. Erwin Billy.
Good evening, Council. Erwin Billy, 157 Elwood Avenue, Mount Vernon, New York, 10552. Being that, the election is coming up, I'm starting to see a lot of things that I have to ask questions to. I noticed that, certain candidates are not on the ballot for whatever reason, and they are going to court. And I have to keep coming up here to reiterate the same thing I've been saying, that power and control go hand in hand. And I just don't see how it is fair that the same person who runs the Democratic Committee of Mount Vernon is allowed to be the overseer of the election it just seems like the fox is watching the hen house. There's no way that you can sit here and tell me that is a fair setup. And going beyond the mayor and his troubles, his legal problems, and all of the legal bills that have accumulated from the city council and from the comptroller's office and from his office as well, and all of the other departments who are asking for money. Because I've noticed, I've heard about the Christine Reed situation, and she's been coming here for months upon months upon months requesting money from the city council. And I guess she took it upon herself to get those funds on her own from what the allegations have been stated. I just see that the level of corruption is like, it's incredible. And I have to go back to the point that the Democratic Party has too much power. There's no parity. There's no Republican Party that can challenge the Democratic Party. And I'm talking about just simple people with values, not, white or black or rich or poor, anything like that. And from what I see is that whoever wins the Democratic primary is automatically going to be the mayor. And this is exactly how Richard Thomas got into office. No Democratic leader, no leaders come to tell these, citizens of the community who the candidates are. There's very limited information to go around. And there's a lot of elderly people who are not going to go out to these forums to find out who these candidates are, or they don't, take it upon themselves to investigate. They just, vote the Democratic line. And when that happens, there's just an imbalance of power. And then you have Reggie Lafayette sitting there, he doesn't even allow the district leaders to pick the candidates or have a fair, shake in the democratic process. I only see the district leaders when it's time for them to run for office and they're looking for signatures. And the democratic process is broken. And you see it every day. Every day I watch Low HUD, every couple of days in Low HUD, I see something pop up. Just recently, it's the parking commissioner who took someone's identification, went and got surgery, right? Was investigated by the feds. This happened last year, and she's only resigning this year. She's only resigning this year after she's taken citizens' information, applied for credit, went and got body surgery or whatever, reconstructive surgery or whatever. And when you look at the level of corruption, it's impalpable. It's I don't understand. I see, they're honoring certain people, but when you look at the corruption and the people that's doing it and how many people is doing it, it overshadows any good that these citizens can bring forth to the city. And I just want to bring that to light that, the system needs to change in some way.
Thank you. Ray Copeland. Ray Copeland. Ray Copeland. Right. Now we will have our responses by our council members, starting with Councilman Griffin.
It's really not much to say. I mean, we're in the mind. Mr. Ferreira, thank you for coming. We appreciate all your good work. I looked at your paperwork briefly. Looks like everything's in place for me. I can't answer as to why the controller isn't moving forward with the change. We've heard this problem before. I feel for you. I just don't know what the council can do at this time. But thank you for bringing it to our attention. Mr. Pessin, pretty much the same thing. I understand what you're saying. I wish there was a simple solution, and I wish it was an isolated solution that we could just fix. But it seems like it's a high and heavy task to get something paid via the controller's office. So kind of the same issue. concerns as to the way things are running in the city. And, the council has limited powers. We're going to do, I believe, all that we can without spending a tremendous amount of money to get this resolved. Elections have consequences, and I'm looking forward to 2020. And that concludes my remarks.
Thank you. Councilwoman Duarte.
Thank you, President Wallace. I just want to thank everyone for coming out tonight, and for those that are staying, not just speaking, but also those that are here present. Jimmy Pessin, thank you for doing what you do and sharing this with as many as we can on Facebook, so thank you for that. Charles Ferreira, we've spoken about this issue because we've now transferred into DCW, but the paperwork is just not, being processed as you stated. So as Councilman Griffith said, and I'm sure I know our council here, we have limited powers. I'm not really sure what we can do right now, but I thank you for coming and putting on the record what you have experienced and what is happening at this moment. But we will, in our capacity, certainly continue to monitor. We have taken one step to support your employment or your transfer by passing legislation to grant you a year of leave of absence. And so we will continue to take the steps that we're able to take to support you. Jamie Pessin, thank you for coming and expressing your concerns regarding the animal shelter. That's just one example of many more vendors are not being paid, and it's impacting the city's ability to provide services. I know that Council President Wallace has spoken with the comptroller, and I'll probably have more information to share, but it's a challenge that we're facing across the board, and it's affecting the quality of life even for, obviously, our animals in our city. So it's just one spread. Stefan Rutter, thank you for your service to this community and to this country, and for coming. And I'm sorry to hear about what happened with your home. So, but thank you for coming and always blessing to have you here. Ms. Coleman, you raised a very good point about our social media policy and whether it's really properly being enforced. I don't have an answer to that. I don't know. And how it should be enforced. Certainly that's something that we as a council should take a look at. And I think I'm going to make my final comments, and I'm just going to couple them with part of my response is also to Mr. Orambili with regards to the new reference service director. I became aware of what has been on social media this afternoon and the statements and allegations that are being made. On the face of it, to me, it looks defamatory. The allegations obviously are serious, and I will refer this matter not only to our Board of Ethics, but specifically to our Board of Ethics. What I've read, I've seen inaccuracies in what I've read, based on what I know, and to address specifically concern about identity theft. These details are yet to be borne out, right? The actual facts of what happened need to be explored. But my understanding is that the application was submitted for a New York State grant to benefit the Veterans Service Agency and not the Veterans Director. The money would not go to her salary. It would not go to anything that she would benefit from this particular grant. So I think we need to be very careful, because what I am observing on Facebook is degrading and disgraceful. And I think we need to continue to speak out against derogatory comments against women on Facebook, especially when we don't have all the facts. It's unnecessary and should not be part of the conversation. So shame on those people on Facebook who are making the comments that they are, including city employees. Ms. Kristen Reed is a veteran. She deserves our respect, and she deserves to be heard. If there's something that was committed that was done wrong, we need to hear about it, and we need to hear both sides of the story. But what I am seeing out on Facebook and in the media, granted, the outlets I've seen it in are not necessarily credible outlets, but it looks on its face defamatory, and that's serious. So we need to be very careful, but my recommendation to this council is that we refer this to the Board of Ethics. And I'm looking forward to hearing what our council president has to say on it, because you recently signed a pledge to empower women with several initiatives that you will support to empower women in the city. So I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say about this. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Copeland.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Thank you all for who stayed. Let me start with the animal shelter, because like you said, so historically, the funding for I believe the animal shelter is under the police department. So a lot of the funding for the animals that are served there is done through there. There are two positions there. I think it's a director and a deputy director. One is, if I'm not mistaken, one is an appointed position, one is, so not that that's relevant. But there's also a Friends of the Animal Shelter, who historically have raised money to support some of these initiatives that are not funded in the budget. But as far as taking care of the animals, my understanding was and is that was funded in the police department's budget. Now, I may be wrong about it this year, but historically that has been the case. So in terms of vouchers, I wish it should be easy. It seems like every person who's come, and even those that don't come to the council meeting and speak to us offline, there always seems to be a different way that you all can co-sign with me, a different way that things are processed. So what we do, we'll take it and we'll go and sit with the controller, particularly Mr. Ferrer. When we passed the legislation, I thought that was the end all be all of it, which it never seems to be. Once the legislation, I don't know, was it passed at the Board of Estimate as well? I don't recall. But anyway,
Yes.
It was? Okay, good. So in terms of, social media, I've kind of been social media light because it's so many fake names and it's so mean-spirited. The whole, when Facebook and all these different social media things came into play in a larger faction, for me, it was a way to keep contact with my friends who have moved away and across the country. But now it's turned, during these political years, it's turned into, it's just, and to know that allegedly some of our own city employees, the ones who actually use their real names, are commenting when we always get letters from the Corp Council about the social media policy. It seems to me we should have the Corp Council or forward it out to all the employees again. Maybe they've lost track of it. I see Ms. Coleman Levin. I was going to ask her who the lieutenant is, but I can give her a call and find out who she was. It doesn't matter if it's on the record, but I can find out and follow up with the chief. And in the past, my last meeting with him, I did figures. And in the past, my last meeting with him, I did bring that up about some of the things I read about some of his immediate staff, and he said he would address it. But I see different names now. It's always, it seems like we're like a city that all we deal with is prices. We don't get to move on legislation and other things that we need to do to build the community up, to bring jobs in and new businesses, because we're always dealing with some negative headline of stuff. So it's hard, it's very frustrating, but you know, we fight on because the people of the city are worth it. But you know, every day I stop reading the newspaper and I really don't watch the local news. So a lot of these things that happen, I don't find out until, you know, one of my colleagues calls me, because to read that stuff every day, it's like, I mean, for a city you grew up in and have committed so much to, it's disheartening. But yet, if we don't say anything, we don't do anything, then we're not doing anything. And we also don't want to telegraph what we will do and follow up online, because then before we even get to do it, it's already out all over everything, and it kills what could be a good solution without another lawsuit. That's what we need, more solutions without having to go to court for everything. It's ridiculous. It's the same pot of money. When we're all in court, it's the same pot of money. So, Mr. Pessin, thank you, Mr. Ritter, Mr. Billy, Ms. Coleman left, and Mr. Thank you for coming, but we write it down, we're taking notes, and we hope to move this forward. It's a difficult process, but we stay the course to get it done. So, thank you all again for coming.
Thank you, Councilwoman Forrest.
Thank you, President Wallace. So good evening to the community. Mr. Ferreira, I'm sorry that you're experiencing this. And I wonder how much effort the Commissioner has put into getting this resolved on your behalf. You know, has there been a meeting with you and the Commissioner and the Controller at any point? I wonder. And perhaps that might be helpful, you know, in just trying to get to the bottom of why this is not being paid. And I'm really sorry that you're experiencing this. So I hope that it can be resolved, and that's what I would suggest, is you try to perhaps have a meeting with your Commissioner and the Controller, and to see if you can get to the bottom of it. Ms. Coleman has left, but I think, sticking to the Facebook policy, or having, you know, a strict Facebook policy, particularly as it relates to employees and attacking other employees in the city. I guess it's a person's First Amendment right that they can, you know, choose to do on their free time. I think it's you know, adhering to the policy while you're at work to make sure that that's not being violated. But it's, you know, it's one of the consequences, I guess, of living in a free society where folks get to express themselves, even if they're employed to a city, and even if they say things about you that you don't like. It's just one of the, you know, consequences of living in a free society. Mr. Ritter, I'm so sorry that you have suffered a fire. That's a traumatic event. I'm sorry you've lost your petitions, but I know how hard you work, so I know you'll continue to persevere. So all the best to you, sir. Mr. Pessin, I did actually hear from a few community members regarding the animal shelter, and I did some connection in email with the Controller's office, and what my understanding is from the Controller's office is that the bills have not been presented to her, particularly Petchester's bills. So my understanding is, and I spoke with the police department as well, is that the bills were submitted. They were apparently not submitted in the format that is preferred by this Controller. They were returned to Petchester, and they need to be resubmitted. As I understand it, and I may be mistaken, but Petchester has not done that. They do not have the, I guess, the manpower right now to commit to redoing these vouchers so that they can be resubmitted. And what I was suggesting to some of the folks who reached out to me from the community is perhaps this is a way that they can help Petchester, is to volunteer their time there to help them, to see if they can help them to get their vouchers resubmitted. But that's my understanding of where we are, that the vouchers are not in the Controller's office, they need to be resubmitted. And I understand that folks are maybe frustrated with the controller's approach to her job, but my perspective is this, that she is the controller. And if she says that she wants the vouchers submitted with 2 or 3 copies, then, and that's her preferred method, then that's what's going to have to be done, because that's her approach. And so we can criticize it, we don't have to like it, but if that's what she's requiring to get vouchers paid, then I say that we just do it. We can complain, we can argue, we can criticize, but we still need to do what the controller is requesting in order for her process to work. So that's how I see it. And so that's my understanding, sir, of what is happening, is that the vouchers need to be resubmitted from Petchester. Mr. Billy, as I often do, even when you are critical of me, I agree with you. I agree that this is a broken process, that the corruption and the cronyism is at its peak, and you know, that it is not sustainable, and it will not be sustained. You know, I read an article recently in the New York Times where there were protesters outside of Carl Hastie's fundraiser in the city, and there's a discussion about what black leadership, the role of black leadership in the progressive movement. And I think that it is a change that is coming. It is unavoidable. And so those who have held on to power are probably fearful of what is coming, but it's inevitable that this change will come. That we saw it in Congress last year with more than 100 women being elected and a lot of them coming out of primaries. So this is an inevitable thing. I'll say that as to the allegations with the Veterans Department, our city clerk is involved in that situation. I think it behooves the city council to sit as a body and hear from the clerk, and then, based on that conversation, perhaps make the recommendation, as Councilwoman Duarte has said, to our Board of Ethics. So it is not for us to, you know, to decide for or to judge, but to refer it to the body that's convened in our city to look into those things. So I will not take any strong position on this at this time. I think we will sit and talk with the city clerk. I will myself reach out to Director Reed, as that is a committee that I chair, and then I will input when we have such meetings. But I thank you for being here and for participating in this process.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Mr. Ferrer, we didn't get a chance to speak earlier today. I'm glad you did come in to put everything on the record. We, at this time, still can't figure out why this is happening and what's the holdup. But I will definitely go down and speak to the controller and ask her tomorrow what is going on and why is the paperwork not being processed. And I had a question for you, maybe you can answer it from there really quickly for me. So what position are you in right now?
Right now,
I just wasn't sure of that.
so I left parking as a parking meter worker, and you guys gave me the leave of absence, which I thank you. I've been in the position of sanitation foreman from December 10th until now. I'm still currently in the position.
And that's the position Stefan, really thank you for coming. Just to be on the record and correct, it didn't start in 2017, as was here in 2016, which really doesn't matter here or there. Thank you again for coming out. I'm sorry what happened to your home. I'm sorry what you're going through. Hopefully, you know, if we can assist you in some kind of way, we will. Jamie Pessin, I did have a conversation with the controller. Spent some time down there. I wanted to find out exactly why things weren't being done. I did request to look at the vouchers. I wanted to know when the vouchers came in. She said she just got the vouchers maybe a week or so ahead of time. I checked the stamp. She was telling the truth on that because I saw the stamp. It was a week or a little bit more than a week. But there was a tremendous amount of bills there to be sending down at that time. So I can't really figure out whether the mayor is holding these and then sending them out late on purpose, or she's not processing. It's a tough thing, you know. The council is just in the middle of this particular predicament. However, when I did go through the bills, I did have a conversation with her, and she started processing them at that time. She did call her staff over, and we did go through it. So they were moving quickly to try to process as many of those bills that they can to make sure that they are paid. So the money is in the budget. We made sure there was money in the budget. We actually put extra money in the budget for the animal shelter, which I'm a big supporter of. So I know that, you know, they should be able to manage and they should be able to get those bills paid. Erwin, Billy, always a pleasure. I hear what you're saying. And regarding the Veterans Commissioner, I have not read the posts. I have not seen it. But I will look into it to see what they're saying. I don't know who these employees are that are making these kind of comments, but whether it's a woman, a man, a baby, a senior, whoever it is, you know, my saying is followed, and it has always been continuously the same. Injustice here is injustice everywhere. So whether someone is making derogatory statements, it is not right. We have to address it, and I agree with Councilwoman Duarte. We will look into it, and I agree with Councilwoman Ferguson that this is something that is with the clerk. We would, you know, try to find out what exactly is going on with this situation. But nobody should be making any kind of derogatory statements towards anyone, especially if you're a city employee. And I noticed that we have a social media policy that only seems to work when the mayor wants to use it, and it only works on who the mayor wants it to work on. It's not across the board, and it needs to be addressed, you know, and not, you know, this is Facebook, and every day somebody has something to say about me on Facebook, and it's like 15 million different fake names. We don't know who's who, and everybody makes up a fake name. So we have to look into that. We have to figure out what's going on, and we will investigate that. We'll have these conversations along with Ms. Reed and Mr. Brown, and then what we'll do is we'll push it onto the Board of Ethics so that the Board of Ethics can review that. And that concludes my comments at this time. So what we're going to do right now, I would say that we can go straight into our legislation session. So we won't be breaking at this time. So, Clerk Brown. Can we get a roll call? Sorry, yeah. Legislation. All right, at this time, we are going to take a break. We'll take a 5-minute break at this point, and we adjourn in 5 minutes. Good.
15, 16, 17, and 18 are called for. Item 33 and 34 for information. Items 35, 36, 37, 38 are called for. Items 39 is for information. Item 40 is on the agenda. Item 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, no, I'm sorry. Items 46, 47, 48, and 49 for information. Item 50 and 51 are called for. Items 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58 are all for information. Item 67 is called for. Items 68, 69, 70, 73, 75, 76, and 77 are for information.
Isn't 67 the one that we were handed here today?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It is. You want to put in that? No.
She said she had questions, the chair said she had questions that she needed to address a co-balance of the union.
Yes.
Did she know?
I did not.
Say that?
Yes.
So it didn't come on the committee?
I didn't move that committee. I called for it.
No, we moved it out of committee. August moved it out of committee.
That was we done.
No, I didn't, last week.
I vote no. No, I vote no, because that's not how it happened. That's all right, that's fine. We just want to vote. It's fine.
That's not how it happened.
No, it's not.
Did you speak to them and you got a call back? Committee?
I did speak with them this afternoon.
And what did they say?
That we having some discussion now? Or, so what they said is that,
Council President, is it a contract issue?
You want to know?
okay, so is it out of committee?
Okay.
So the request is to change the alternate side of street parking from 8 a.m. from 8 to 12, to change it to 9 to 12.
Correct.
So in my discussion with the union, they said that a change like that is a change in members' work schedule. That requires written notice, advance notice to the union, and it's a negotiable item.
It's a what?
A negotiable item. So we can't make that change without first notifying them in writing and then negotiating with them. Because it would require a change in their work schedule.
Okay, so you want to,
I'm calling for it.
so did you send, are you sending them a letter?
Yes, absolutely. But the request has been made.
Okay.
That's why I'm calling for it.
Okay.
We'll send it in writing to the union, and we'll proceed from there.
Okay, perfect. All right. That completes
So,
the
yeah,
report.
that completes my report. Thank you.
Human resources.
Thank you, Mr. President. Item number 12 is for information, 13 is for information, 19 is for information, 60 is called for, 61 and 62 are for information, items 64 and 65 are called for, items 71 and 72 are for information. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Public safety committee.
Thank you, sir. Number 9 is on the agenda. 29 and 30 are called for. And for the record, I know I sent it in the email. Can we please let the Commissioner of Buildings know, even if it is an emergency situation, you have to get 3 quotes to have this work performed. I mean, I sent it. I'm not sure if we sent it to him, but that was my request. So maybe a letter in writing
Yes.
on behalf of myself or the entire council.
That's fine.
31 is on the agenda. 32 is being called for. 45 and 59 are for information. 63 is being called for. I wanted to keep it in because I didn't have it and I wanted to keep it to read. That's what I'm calling for. I don't believe it requires any legislation, but I just want to keep
Number 63?
63. Because if you remember at the time, I referred back, there was an issue with my flash drive. So
Right.
and I hadn't had a chance to read it, but now I have it, so actually I can make it information. Unless there are questions. Let me change that to information for 63. Now that I have it. And 74 is also for information. That concludes my report.
Councilwoman, I think.
Oh, I have one that was sent to me.
Please department assistant.
The police department, telecommunications course, that's on the agenda as number 9. I'm sorry, I almost forgot. Yeah, I got it, I think it was emailed.
There's another item, ferry consultant.
Ms. Wu? You have 2 items?
No, I just have one.
She has one.
Finance and planning.
Thank you, Mr. President. Item 1 is being called for. Items 2, 1, for information. Item 42 and 43 are being called for. Item 44 is on the agenda. Enumerated as number 10. Number 66 is being called for, and I do have an add-on enumerated as number 12. And that concludes my report.
What is that?
The add-on is the hiring of Pat Cleary to begin to review the application for the multi-tender project that we came in from, I think, 2 or 3 council meetings ago.
Okay. So, we still need the attorney though, right?
Yes, we do.
Because that would be one without the other.
Well, it's, you can do one without the other, it's not preferable, but in this case, in order to get that application kind of started, he can start reviewing the application and advise us what he wants to do, but honestly, nothing can really move forward because we need an attorney to complete the whole concept of how he or she's going to be funded, especially when you invoke other properties into it as well. In this case, he can start working on the one application and giving us some scope of that.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Clerk Brown, roll call.
Councilwoman Copeland,
Present.
Councilwoman Duarte,
President.
Councilwoman Fox,
Here.
Councilman Griffith,
Here.
and Council President Wells.
Here. Legislation and Public Works.
Thank you, Council President. Item number 1, I have an ordinance granting permission for the mayor to attend a conference from May 19th to the 21st. So moved.
Second.
Other questions? Roll call.
Councilwoman Copeland,
Aye.
Councilwoman Duarte,
Aye.
Councilwoman Ferguson,
Aye.
Councilman Griffith,
Aye.
Council President Wells.
Aye.
Item number 2, I have an ordinance granting permission to Mount Vernon Classic Car Club of New York to hold the 8th annual I Know You Got Soul car show and the Department of Public Safety to close West 7th Street between South 3rd Avenue and 4th Avenue on September 21st, 2019, with a rain date of September 28th. So moved.
Second.
Other question? Roll call.
Councilwoman Copeland,
Aye.
Councilwoman Duarte,
Aye.
Councilwoman Ferguson,
Aye.
Councilman Griffith,
Aye.
and Council President Wells.
Aye.
Number 3, I have a resolution honoring Carlos Alexandre. So moved.
Councilwoman Copeland,
Aye.
Councilwoman Duarte,
Aye.
Councilwoman Ferguson,
Aye.
Councilman Griffith,
Aye.
Council President Wallace.
Aye.
I have item number 4, which I'm not sure why it's on the agenda, because I never received anything in committee to move it out of committee. Well, it's still, even on the last agenda, I do know how it got there. I didn't receive a referral letter requesting this on the agenda, so it was never in committee to move it out of committee, so I don't know why it's still on the agenda. So, just hold it, or I don't know.
Well, you're not entertaining it.
I'm not entertaining it at this time.
Well, even if it was held before, if she's not entertaining it, it's still in its same status. Because it's a local law, if you entertain it, you're just reading it into the record for the first reading, but if you're not entertaining it, then it will have to come back to be read. Okay?
That's fine. It's not specific to the contents of it, except for the fact that in terms of the process, it just never came to me as a referral.
Right.
And even when I raised that last time, it still didn't come in this last packet. I had completely, not recalled that this was here, but my point is that it was not in committee to be moved out of committee, and therefore it should not be on the agenda.
Okay.
That concludes the report.
Yes, other question though, on that particular thing, how did it get there?
I don't know.
There was a request to put it on the last meeting, so what happens is anytime something is held on the floor, we have a folder, and everything automatically goes back on the next agenda. So it's an automatic process. When something is held, we go back to the folder and put everything held on the next agenda.
Right, so I understand, that's why it's on the agenda now, but going back to the last meeting, how did it get onto the agenda then? Because I know I held it at that time, but again, it's not in committee to be moved out of committee and be on the agenda to begin with, so I don't know how it got there.
So currently there's nothing in the health folder? Everything is out of it?
There may be some items that didn't come back, because they didn't get approval from the board department, like the conservation advisory committee, that didn't come back, because you had to hear from the board.
Okay. Human resources.
Thank you, President Wallace. I have, item number 5, a resolution honoring Jordan Daikon. So moved. Second.
On the question? Roll call.
Councilwoman Copeland,
Aye.
Councilwoman Duarte,
Aye.
Councilwoman Ferguson,
Aye.
Councilman Griffith, Council President Wallace.
Aye.
Thank you. Item number 6, I have a resolution honoring Dr. Sonia Cole. So moved.
On the question? Roll
I
call.
haven't seconded yet.
Oh,
Second.
on the question? Roll call.
Councilwoman Copeland,
Aye.
Councilwoman Duarte,
Aye.
Councilwoman Ferguson,
Aye.
Councilman Griffith,
Aye.
Council President Wallace.
Aye. Public safety and codes.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have item number 7, an ordinance granting permission to the Commissioner of the Department of Buildings to attend the conference. So moved.
Second.
On the question? Roll call.
Councilwoman Copeland,
Aye.
Councilwoman Duarte,
Aye.
Councilwoman Ferguson,
Aye.
Councilman Griffith,
Aye.
Council President Wallace.
Aye.
I have ordinance number 8, an ordinance authorizing the Uniform Firefighters Association Incorporated to hold a fundraiser event at the intersection of West Broad Street and Grafton Avenue and East Sanford Boulevard and Garden Avenue. So moved. Second.
On the question?
This is their annual boot drive, please. Drop a little in when you see them out there. granting permission for the communication specialists, police officers to attend the APCO Public Safety Telecommunicators course. So moved. Second.
On the question? Roll call.
Councilwoman Copeland,
Aye.
Councilwoman Duarte,
Aye.
Councilwoman Parkinson,
Aye.
Councilman Griffith,
Aye.
Council President Wallace.
Aye. Finance and planning.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have an ordinance granting permission for the planning commissioner to attend a conference. So moved.
Second.
On the question? Roll call.
Councilwoman Copeland,
Aye.
Councilwoman Duarte,
Aye.
Councilwoman Parkinson,
Aye.
Councilman Griffith,
Aye.
Council President Wallace.
Aye.
I have a resolution honoring the Mount Vernon Public Library. So moved.
Second. I seconded.
On the question? Hearing none? Roll call.
Councilwoman Copeland,
Aye.
Councilwoman Duarte,
Aye.
Councilwoman Parkinson,
Aye.
Councilman Griffith,
Aye.
Council President Wallace.
Aye.
I have an ordinance authorizing the city council to retain a firm of Cleary Consulting to provide planning consulting counsel for all land use and state environmental quality review act reviews and zoning applications. So moved.
Second.
On the question?
I saw, but you go. So, I'm just not clear on this, and I know that there was a discussion of, I believe, a law firm, this is not, Zara. So, how is that related? Is it?
This is the planning consultant that came, the third,
Oh, that was it?
yes. But that wasn't my question. I mean, I don't know, Councilman Brooklyn was going to answer.
Oh, was it not answered?
Yeah, no, it's actually, I'm a little clearer now. So this is an open-ended, doesn't have a limit in terms of spending?
So we haven't decided exactly how he's going to be paid, right? But in this case, it's going to be from the developer of that first ask that he came in for. So the issue is that he wants to begin the work. So there's no monetary monies that we would have to expend because the Alexander Group will be funding his work. He will be an advisor to the council as far as the secret is concerned. So we want him to start the review, and then if we ever get an attorney on board, which I hope we can find an attorney to get on board, we can go back and quantify how he will be paid. But in the meantime, in order to work with the council, he needs authorization to begin work.
So he's gonna be paid by the, sorry. Should I go ahead, Mr. President?
Oh, yeah.
He's gonna be paid by the Alexander Group, you said?
Correct.
Is that some kind of conflict or no?
No, all he's doing is advising us on seeker.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yes, I had if I may. So, President Wallace had mentioned this, though, but we really need attorneys. I mean, because otherwise, isn't it like double work? Because they should come at the same time. The attorney and the planning.
Preferably, the attorney could have come first, so the attorney could have laid out all of the strategy and how everything was going to flow. But in the meantime, the seeker could be started, right? And the seeker review could be started. And he could start laying out the environmental concerns, the quality review concerns, the zoning concerns, all of that information needs to be gathered. So yes, it would be ideal if we had an attorney to do the definitions and then to define exactly who would be paid what. But in this case, this applicant, there's one application that we have, and one applicant is willing to fund this consultant or seeker.
Yes, you may. Hold on,
I have another question that just left me, because I got distracted. Go to the next person, hopefully I'll remember it before we get on.
Councilwoman Zilke.
Thank you. Have we officially declared lead agency on that project?
I believe we have. Yes.
We have.
Because I know there was talk about setting a public hearing, but that I don't think happened.
Okay.
Did we do that? I can't
But
remember.
I think we have to, if I'm not mistaken, I can be corrected, but I think we have to declare ourselves lead agency, don't we, before we get to the council? I mean, no?
The council declared itself lead agency, its intent to serve as an agency, and the notices of already gone out to the agency agents.
So this, to get
Yes,
project?
but you declared yourself lead agency, so it's in that way.
We did?
Yes, you did. I think it was in February. Go back and look, some time ago.
Okay, I didn't remember, but that wasn't my question, but, I had another question.
Can you finish, Councilwoman Zilke?
I guess from what I recall, we were to set up a public hearing, isn't that part of the process of declaring lead agency?
Declaring an agency,
No.
So what part of the process, because we did that with the,
before the project comes into fruition, you would have a public
We
hearing.
should probably use the plan.
I'm sorry.
Yes, the project is still in its infant stage before
It comes to the next level after you get your lawyer and your consultant on board, and you find out exactly what, where, why you want to do it. Then you would call your public hearing for public input. But you gotta get the pieces together first.
Any other questions? Councilwoman Copeland?
I can't remember what it is, so.
I know the feeling, Councilwoman. I just wrote two things down that I.
So I guess we can take a break for about 30 minutes and see if
No.
All right, roll call.
Okay, roll call on number 12 has been moved. Second question.
Oh, I remember my question.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
So, with regards to section 2, we usually have the chair of the committee negotiate the rate?
With the approval from the council.
We've done that before?
Well, somebody has to do it.
No, I'm not. I just can't remember a time that that was done before. But then in my mind, I'm trying to remember who does do the negotiations.
Should it not be, I don't think anything that this body does should be unilateral.
It's not unilateral because it has to be with the approval of the council.
But I think the process though, because if you're doing the negotiating, I mean, I think that you're saying the approval would be done by, by the council, but the actual process of negotiation would be done with just one body and the individual.
Actually, I'm sorry, thank you. Actually, no, there won't be any real negotiation. It's gonna be when the price is there, it'll come before the council.
How do we arrive at the price?
Well, it's gotta be a price that works with the council and with the consultant, right? So when that comes forward, and it's gonna be a rate that works for all parties, it'll come before the council, and the council will decide.
But at the last, if I may.
Let me just ask a question, Councilman Griffin. Do you mind redrawing this piece of legislation for now, and maybe we move forward with it in the next session?
It's the will of the council. I'm trying to
the Hudson Valley. But I was just trying to recall, I didn't remember that we had passed lead agency, so that was my one concern. And I thought usually the attorney and the planning consultant come in at the same time, but since we're having difficulty getting an attorney, that may be another couple months before we get one, and do we want to hold it up?
Councilwoman Ferguson.
I really liked that presentation, and I thought it was something that we need, but I'm just a little uncomfortable with the fact that there's no rate in it. I would like to, I would like it to be a more complete piece of legislation, so that we know what it is.
To the council members, this question came up this afternoon with the law department, and there was a rate for the same gentleman because he was hired in 2014. If you want to consider that rate, you can. I don't know, but again, the rate is basically paid by the developers.
And that was the same thing in 2014?
Yes.
Same developer?
Well, developers, I think it's a different development, but traditionally, developers pay for the consultant and the attorneys
Okay.
at no cost to the city. And I think most of the consultants get generally around the same rate, generally. But we have a contract back in 2014, if you want to review that, Councilman.
Would you consider that, Councilman Griffith, doing that and bringing it back?
So, as you know, this can be a complicated process. That is why I clearly wanted to have the attorney on first. Absent of the attorney, we didn't want to lock in anything, so that's why it was kind of better to get him started, and then it could be settled through. So it's more than just getting one rate for one piece, because there are multiple things moving. We're trying to do a comprehensive plan, which will involve not just one applicant funding this, but multiple applicants funding it. The dilution of it makes it more comprehensive for the city and more comprehensive for us as a council. What we don't want to do, and I discussed this with the land use boards today, is to start doing more spot zoning. That is what has done a lot of mismatch in the city as it is, and we don't want that. So we want it to be comprehensive and absent of the full negotiation with not only one applicant but multiple across the city. This is how we felt we could move one piece of the puzzle forward from the application that we've already voted to be lead agent on. I don't know how else we can get this moving. The council still has a long time to do any voting on anything that's really substantive. So there's really nothing substantive here other than this person being engaged to begin to work for one piece of multiple pieces. Today alone, I looked at 5 applications and the land use boards negotiated how we would want to maneuver with those 5 applications. One thing is clear, that we need a comprehensive plan across this city because people are doing spot zoning left and right. It's not the way to do it. We need to start at some point.
I think that's perfect. Just what you just said is very important. So, and
serving our community.
I'm also uncomfortable with that, with a developer recommending that attorney.
Absolutely, I've said that, that's why it's better to not have that, but we at least can interview to see if it's a possibility. I agree with you.
The issue is there's not a lot of these attorneys that specialize, and the people, there's not a lot of attorneys to do this kind of work, and usually, I mean, I don't normally bump into, or I may bump into them on the train, but I wouldn't know that they were, and from other councilmen of other cities, we get recommendations sometimes, but a lot of them don't want to work for the city. They're concerned about getting paid.
But I think we also have to be concerned, I think we also have to be concerned that, that our city is not being run by developers, right? It's a situation that's faced by many cities around the country where development is driving, directionally what's going on in cities, and it's not a good thing. It is not a good thing.
Madam Councilwoman and the council, I fully agree with you. But the best thing that we can do is work comprehensively. And if we work towards a spot zone, they're going to be pinholed into one project, and that's not the way to go. So as much as people want to believe that I'm a friend of the developers, I am not. I am pushing to have a comprehensive across Mount Vernon plan that will be diluted so that the council and the people of Mount Vernon can truly see from a 30,000-foot level exactly what our city needs to look like. And I'm telling you, even today, there were applications that people are willing to take to the zoning board, and I said adamantly, no, let those applications come before the council, but that means that the council has to do its due diligence to start reviewing them and denying them. There's a process right now where people are asking for the council to have a shot clock, and applications will come to us. And if we don't get started with seeker and a comprehensive plan, which is across the city, we will be challenged in court by some of these applications that are coming forward. And their option is to clearly go, they have every right to go to the zoning board, and the zoning board is not going to be able to just deny. We're going to have to get to a point where we begin and look at a comprehensive plan. And we need to do it, again, across the board. So we have to start someplace. These applications are coming, and some of them are exciting, and the problem is that some of them are not. Some of them will get approved, and we won't like them. It's much better, and this council has acted on this. It's better if this council gets ahead of the game and starts this process now, so that we can begin to look at this stuff. It's going to take at least a year just to review this stuff. And we're talking a plot and lots that we need to review. So we're talking Fifth Avenue, we're talking places that you would never think we have an availability to build, but we have large lots. Developers are collecting lots and putting them together and asking to build huge things, and we have to get ahead of this.
But you know what? That's why this body has the power. And that's what I'm saying. Developers will not run the city. They will not run the city. The city belongs to the people of this community. And they will not come in here and drive our city council to do things that's not good for the city. It will not happen if we stand together. It will not.
I agree with you, but the right thing to do is to push them off is to define what we want our city to look like.
You're correct, but the zoning board, and the zoning rules are clear. To work New York State, and it's clear. So if we apply the rules as they exist, they cannot circumvent them. We have to apply the rules as they exist, because the rules as they exist protect us. And when all else failed with Article 78.
But Councilwoman and Council President, if I may,
That's because this is becoming into debate, and I want to.
I'm sorry, Mr.
and this is not, I don't believe this is a debate, but here's the reality. We're going to come to a point where some of these property owners are not going to be able to succeed financially because we have not acted as a land use body. And they're going to go to court, we're going to be overturned, and we're going to lose control. Well, I'm not saying that that's gonna happen anytime soon.
Cannot happen.
What I'm
Not even
saying,
by this
what I'm
means.
saying is that we have to get ahead and begin to complete a comprehensive plan, which is defined, and these developers won't be able to attack us and say that we have not acted. So in order to move forward, we have to move forward, and we have not as a city.
Okay, we're moving forward.
I just want to quickly make a comment, if I may. It's just that that's not reflected in the way the legislation is written, and I think that it's important for that to be there. There is a degree of discomfort that I have in how general and open the terms are. But if the intent is to begin the process of completing a comprehensive plan, that ought to be reflected here.
Councilman Griffith, would you entertain the withdrawal of this at this particular time?
Take it to committee. Take it to the Finance and Planning Committee. If it doesn't move forward, I'm gonna roll on that. And then my record will reflect that I've tried to do any steps that I could to move a comprehensive plan forward. And I guarantee the council and the people around running this that at the end of the day, it will show that the 10 years that I've been on this council, absent the 4 years of the planning board, I've tried from day one to complete a comprehensive plan. And what I don't want to hear, I'm not talking to this council, I'm talking to the people. What I don't want to hear is that Marcus Griffith didn't do everything he could to begin the process of a comprehensive plan. So this is not the ideal piece of legislation, but I can say I've done everything I can to move part of the comprehensive plan done with the interest of having a comprehensive plan done, not spot zone, not sneaky here, not just over there, but I'm working towards getting the comprehensive plan done. And everything I've done for the years I've been on the council has not been able to get that done for whatever reason.
Okay.
So I'm just, as co-chair, I'm going to say that I don't support moving it forward right now. And I'm also going to say that as co-chair, that I believe I should be included in some of these background discussions. I met early on with the planning commissioner, and she was stoic at best, and was not engaging. And I think that that's something that needs to be addressed, because I think as co-chair that I should be involved in understanding, being more aware of all of these things that's happening in that committee, and I am not. And I think that's by choice of the planning commissioner. So I say, not right now.
Council President, if I may. Councilwoman Farquharson.
Yes, sir.
We brought Mr. Cleary to the council meeting.
I understand. I love him.
You were impressed by his work. Unfortunately, you were not here on Monday, and unfortunately, I didn't have this legislation written Monday or even Friday for it to move forward. So I'm going to say clearly and politely, I'm doing everything I can to move any piece of the comprehensive plan forward that I can as soon as I can. So I don't have a problem with this being held, but I ask everybody in the council to assist in how we can move that process forward, considering all the hiccups that we've had since this body has been here. And if I just may add one more thing. If anybody thinks that they have a solution better than what we're doing, that have experience to know the steps of moving forward to comprehensive plan, bring it. But what I don't want is for people wanting a perfect piece of solution where we don't have a perfect solution. That's the issue. I would love to bring the attorney first, planner second, people on board, everything all ducks in a row. The reality is we don't have that. What now?
That I agree with.
And currently, if I may, we don't have the expertise. That's why we end up with these consultants. And historically, it's not just, with us. It's happened in, decades and decades ago. It's always happened because the expertise for the kind of zoning that, in order to fulfill the comprehensive plan, we have to have experts in this. And none of us, to my knowledge,
Councilman Griffin, since he's been on the county planning board and he has more knowledge of it than some of us, but still, these people who work in this field, I mean, we need it, otherwise we won't have the information we need to make informed decisions.
I read an article just a couple days ago about it, and I don't remember what community, but I just find it late. Sorry.
Yes, you may.
Thank you, sir. But I'm very brief, very brief. But I read an article about a community, and I don't recall where right now. I think it might have been, I don't know, Topeka, Kansas or something, where they did an exercise in the community in terms of trying to envision what they wanted the community to look like. It was an inclusive activity, and that turned into their comprehensive plan. And it was inclusive of the entire community.
But with all due respect, Councilwoman Parkinson, we can't even get to that point if we don't have this law. So
No, that's a consultant.
I mean, planning consultant. See, the problem I'm seeing right now is we have a major problem because we can't get an attorney because there's always some problem with it. And the attorneys that we had won't work for us because they won't get paid. So they're just not coming back. Nobody wants to work for us because the city's created this bad reputation. So we are limited to how we can do things. So we have to get, like he said, we gotta put it's funny, you know, we have to just do things in a different way. You know, we would like to build the process that way, but unfortunately there's things that have to be done to move the process forward, so at least it's started. I get that as well. You have one question? Can you make that brief?
Yeah, I mean,
Go for it.
I don't think the concerns that we raised here are in any way saying that we do not support a comprehensive plan. That's not the point. We all do. But given the challenges, I think it would be helpful if we could have a discussion and in terms of strategy, how we move forward, and discussion as to what this legislation needs to include. So, I mean, I don't want to hold it because I'm not interested in moving this forward. I want to hold it because I think it needs a little bit. We need to discuss it. It's unfortunate we should have it Monday night, but now that we do have it, we can certainly work on that together.
Last piece.
This is the last one. We're going into roll call.
So, Councilwoman Parkinson, you're absolutely correct. There will be numerous charrettes that will invite and include the community as to the comprehensive plan. There is nothing short of everything you expect from an open, transparent process before this city is redefined into what we and the community envision it to be. The reality is that this body also needs somebody to hold our hands, to walk us through the legality and the possibilities that are to be in there. When Pat Cleary came to our council meeting, he explained that to us, and I think we were all engaged in the huge possibilities of how we could perfect our little community. That expertise is what we need to move forward so that we can begin to engage everyone to get that done. The legislation will never be perfect. We will never know what we don't know until we learn it and we start passing legislation to move it forward. I can tell you that even though I didn't like Pat Cleary originally, I learned a tremendous amount from him, as do the land use boards moving forward. So I'm certain that this would be a good move to get started. I'm not asking for this body to move on it today, but we really have to really think about if we're going to move this city forward in a planning perspective, a land use perspective, how we're going to do it, how soon we're going to do it, and we definitely can't wait until there's a new mayor in office to begin to learn that process as well. And I'm nervous about these people that are coming in as mayor who have absolutely no clue that there's a planning world out there. So it is our responsibility as a council to start this. And I highly recommend that we have things started this summer so that when this new mayor comes in, that we're halfway there and we're already thinking so that the new mayor can fold in the process. So I'm begging this council to let's review this piece of legislation, Let's modify it so that at our next meeting, we can begin to learn what needs to be done to move our city forward. We can't do it anymore. So with that, I'd like to hold this piece of legislation and possibly amend it to perfect it so that everybody has the perfect piece of legislation in place so that we can move forward.
Here, here.
I'll take
It won't be perfect.
hold.
It's actually withdrawing your motion, because it's been moved in second. Question, so you're gonna withdraw it. It's been second.
Yes, it is.
So Councilman, you're gonna withdraw it? Sure. Okay.
Please.
Speaking of attorneys, on your attorney's page,
No, yet. I'm gonna go back down tomorrow and try to find out. As far as, this morning at about 10:30, they told me they were not paid. So, does anybody know about the fourth grader that got hit by the car and killed?
When?
I think it was today.
Where?
Where?
I'm trying to get the details.
Where?
You heard about it?
Columbus Avenue?
I heard the child, just passed away.
Oh, my gracious.
Can I get a roll call?
Mr. President, with a shooting in Denver, Charles was killed in recognition, not recognition of those cities, and also for the record, I'll take that.
The ability, I'm sorry, excuse me.
Get a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilwoman Copeland,
reading from the chief, aye.
Councilman Duarte,
Aye.
Councilman Foster,
Aye.
Councilman Griffin,
Aye.
Council President Wallace.
Aye. Can we take a moment of silence? This meeting is now adjourned.
Councilman, please, adjourn. I was expecting a letter from Commissioner Norton that did not make it. They, want to have they're gonna be having a Mother's Day event out there on Lawn Saturday. I never received the letter, so I started.
Thank you. This meeting is now adjourned.